Hi, my name's Derek Brett. I am one of the professors here at St. Mary's University. I'm also a practicing lawyer. I'm here today and throughout this entire semester to help instruct you on the aspects of Canadian business law. This is your textbook. You'll see what it says here. You'll see that it says Canadian Business and the Law, and it is the 6th edition. This is the text that we are going to be running off of throughout this entire semester. Please feel free to find this in written form, or there is an online format for this as well. Use whatever works to the best of your own learning capacity. All right, let's get started. Canadian business law, and we're just going to be going through the chapters that we're going to be focusing upon. You'll notice, and this is a good way to introduce you to this text, Chapter 1, that is titled Knowledge of Law as a Business Asset. Now, knowledge of law is a business asset. Why do you need to know the law if you're in business? At SMU, this is a mandatory course, Commercial Law 1, in order to achieve your degree. And normally, speaking as, of course, a former student, you think to yourself, why must we be forced to actually participate in any course? This one is incredibly important for what you're doing. I practice business law. I represent businesses as a regular part of my own law practice. It's extraordinarily important that people running business know where business and legal issues could actually arise and potential snafus could arise, and knowing exactly when perhaps a lawyer needs to get involved, or when you, as either the employer or the employee, need to take special steps in order to head off issues before they actually arise. So, understanding this is key to everything that you're going to presumably do in your career in business. Additionally, and you'll see this noted in Chapter 1 of your text, there's the notion of business ethics. Capitalism seems to work, at least in some regard. All right, there is modern capitalism, but everything underlying capitalism, especially as Adam Smith believed. Adam Smith, who wrote The Wealth of Nations, which stands as the hallmark for why we live in a market-based economy, wrote another book dealing with moral equality. In order for capitalism to work effectively, there has to be a moral or ethical strain to capitalism. You conducting your business effectively, legally, ethically, morally plays into everything. Our society functions better, obviously, if you're not trying to cheat someone. Understanding how to do this and understanding the ethics of business is key to your success in business, but also in society. Because the last thing I would ever want is having one of my former students knock on my door or ring my telephone or email me and say, hey, guess what? The Securities Commission is actually investigating me for stock fraud or securities fraud. Or you're being in some way investigated by another agency of the federal government or provincial government for failing to pay customs duties, failing to pay your taxes properly. These are things that we deal with in business law. Dealing with contracts. Yes, I would love it if a former student of mine would call me and say, hey, I have a contract that I need to enter into. Will you please draft it for me? But you know what? Even though you may rely on the lawyers to do that, it's important, critical, that you actually understand the issues that would go into a contract and would understand and would be able to review this contract and be able to participate with your lawyer or with the other party or parties in actually being able to help to formulate, to build, to construct a contract. Throughout the course of this semester as well, we're going to be talking about other issues, in particular tort law. What is a tort? It's not a dessert. Some of you may think that it's something that you eat after dinner. It's not. A tort is essentially a personal injury, and we're going to be discussing that throughout the course of this semester. We're going to be discussing intentional torts, torts that are committed intentionally, such as if you assault someone. We're going to be talking about unintentional torts, or what we call negligence torts. And the best example is what happens after you leave your home to go grocery shopping or wherever, and you get into an auto accident because somebody else wasn't paying attention or because you weren't paying attention. That is an unintentional action. It is a tort of negligence. We're going to be talking about a hybrid tort, which involves something which may have aspects of intent, and at the same time may certainly involve some types of mistakes. We're going to be discussing business torts itself. And there are specific torts that implicate, that involve things that go on in business all the time. And it's best for you to understand what they are and how perhaps you can avoid those pitfalls. We're going to be going much further than that because business law also involves elements, aspects of other types of law, such as employment law. If you're an employee, what are your rights? What happens if you make a mistake, and what is the liability, the exposure to a lawsuit of your employer? Vice versa, if you're an employer and one of your employees missteps, what's going to happen then, and whether or not you're liable for their mistakes or even their intentional actions. These are things that we're going to be discussing throughout the course of this semester. Now, underlying all of that, at the core, at the foundation of everything that we learn, something that you're going to have to understand is what is the most ethical approach that I can take in order to be able to get from point A to point B. What is the right thing to do? Because if you're not going to do the right thing and you're entering into business and participating in our greater society for all the wrong reasons, I'd best not have you in business. Now, most of us, the vast majority of us, are doing this for the right reasons. Okay? And I trust that every single one of you out there is going to be involved in this for all the right reasons, which is why adopting an ethical approach, a moral approach to how you actually do business is going to best suit you long term, both as an entrepreneur and as a person, as a citizen of this society. We'll get started in just a sec.